Dressed down a little bit today. Just got done doing a virtual clinic for the Minnesota High School Coaches Association. So I apologize. I don't have my tie and my suit on today, but hopefully we'll get back to normal next week. Which kind of leads up recruiting. That was a big reason. I know it's kind of unique to do a clinic in season. Felt like it was appropriate. As you guys know, the state of Minnesota, we have over 40 football players from that area. It's so critical to our success. From a number standpoint, but also quality standpoint, you look at just some of the people that are on that list, guys, alumni, former players that have been in the NFL, former All-Americans. Our current football roster is full of Minnesota natives, and so I couldn't miss an opportunity. It's been a full year since we've been able to have high school athletes and or high school coaches on campus, so I had to take the opportunity to talk a little bit about our program, continue to educate about all the things that our program offers and entails, but also talk a little bit of football as well. It's not very often that I get a chance for 50 minutes just to talk X's and O's with my schedule these days. But we're hoping, anticipating. I know we've opened up registration for our youth camp. We're hoping to get kids back on campus. Hopefully we'll find something out from the Football Oversight Committee on April 15th, what our summer looks like. Keeping my fingers crossed that we'll be able to get some kids on campus in the month of June, potentially in the month of July, unofficial visits, camp visits, and it'll at least start looking a little bit closer to the normal or to what a normal cycle would be, especially come July with the fiscal year. But with that, I'll open it up for questions at this time.
Brought up looking ahead. At what point do you NCAA stop testing and get back to what has to happen?
I'm not sure, Jeff. I don't know if I'm have all the solutions for that. I don't know when. I don't think it'll be in the fall of 21 yet. I think there'll still be some testing protocol that's out there. Just if you were to ask me, in my opinion, I don't know what needs to happen for us to eliminate testing.
Biggest concern having not played games for 2 weeks.
Say that one more time.
Having not played games for 2 weeks.
Well, level of sharpness, being crisp, being detailed. Those are the things we've continued to practice, but we've also now are in our third game plan in the matter of 10 days. And so it's getting back to the basics. We did practice some last week, which was a positive. We got out there, got moving around, got our guys, continued to stay in shape, but just the basic fundamentals. Blocking, tackling, it's no different than game one of a season. Those are the concerns you have because you haven't done those things live for a while now.
How do you fix that so quickly?
Well, I don't know if there's an answer for that. I think getting back out there, I think the fact that we practiced in pads last week, so we were still thudding, we were still having some physical contact, was a sign or a move in the right direction. Today we're going to be in full pads, so we're going to get right back and thud, and I'm sure we'll have some tackling circuits. I know offensively there's some things we're going to clean up from our last practice on Saturday. So I mean, I don't think we're in a dire situation, but we need to make an emphasis of some of those basic concepts and basic fundamentals this week.
From just a COVID standpoint, I mean, is there a reason on your guys' end for more optimism that this game will be played, or do you still kind of feel like things are out of your hand?
Well, it's always out of my hand. I mean, I can't control, I know it's an answer I've given before. I see the guys for 20 plus hours a week. I can't control what they're doing. I'm just trying to educate and get them to understand how we can protect our team the best. And so as of right now, I feel good about it. I'm excited. We got a team meeting here at 2:30. We had practice a couple times late last week. We really never took a day off. We always had something going on. So we were trying to mentally stay sharp along this break in games.
Josh Hayes, what's the situation there?
Well, be ready for a long-winded answer. Get ready to type. Josh came in today and visited with me at 10 o'clock. So the whatever was out there beforehand, I probably wasn't privy to everything. Had unbelievable great reasons. For why, and it has nothing to do with NDSU, has nothing to do with our football staff. Josh said he wouldn't be in this situation right now if it weren't for NDSU, taking a shot on a young man from Lake Gibson who came here 4 or 5 years ago, probably with a chip on his shoulder because he got passed over by a lot of other Tampa kids. I mean, there's 2 local universities down there that neither took an opportunity or a shot on him. And so came up here. He's done everything we've ever asked him to do. He's played in 52 games, started a number of them. He's going to graduate in May. He has been a leader of our program. And so he checked the boxes in all those. But I think the hard piece right now is when you don't play games for a couple weeks, it gives guys an opportunity to go back and kind of reflect a little bit. And from talking to Josh this morning, there was a couple things that stood out to me. 3 of them, to be fact. One of them was he sees other guys in our league opting out right now and getting offers from Power 5. And I'll tell you what, I think Josh is the best corner in the league. So you take it for what it's worth. So he's seeing other people reap the rewards of leaving. You take that a step farther, he saw one of our former players, Jabril Cox, go to the LSU. Jabril was a 4th or 5th round draft pick when he was at NDSU, and now he's a top 60 kid. And he's earned it. Josh, in his mind, highly competitive individual, says, why can't that be me now? Good question. The other piece is, many of you would be unaware of this, and Josh was okay with me. Josh has a 2-year-old daughter back in Florida. He's seen her for a total of 60 days while he's been here. And so it was time, conversation between him and his family, a time for him to try to get closer, try to be able to be around his daughter more. He said every time he goes home, he has to reintroduce himself as dad. Well, that's not creating a great experience for both parties. And so, Josh is going to try to look to get closer to the southeast portion of the country, and we'll continue to help him. But everyone in here, this isn't going to be the last experience we have with someone leaving or someone coming. It's just the way it is. April 15th, not only is the recruiting information going to come out, but also the one-time transfer information is coming out, and nobody knows what that looks like right now. How does that? Can you transfer once during your 4 years? If you graduate, can you transfer again? I mean, nobody knows. Nobody knows how that looks right now. It's unfortunate that it's affected our program. I don't know. Is it because of the type of kids we recruit? We recruit highly competitive, borderline FBS, borderline Power 5 kids. They get here, they develop. Do we overdevelop them? We make them too good? I think we're all laughing when I say that, But those opportunities are out there right now. It's a tough deal, but we got to continue to try to keep finding the right bodies and the right people that want to be Bison. Told you it was going to be long-winded, Jeff.
It seemed like you're more okay, especially the last piece of the part of having a kid graduate and just want a different experience. You seem to just, I think you're more, are you more okay with that, knowing that they at least came here, they played, they graduated, they got their degree, and they're just getting a different experience?
They checked every box that we asked them to do when they come here as recruits. Get a degree, play at the highest level you can, physically and mentally, have great experience. Josh, this morning he came in and said, Coach, I did all 3 of those things for you. I can't control it either. So I can sit around and beat myself up about it. Are we doing something right or wrong or why? Why? I don't know why. But kids are seeing they're seeing other friends, other people they've competed against going on to get other opportunities. It's hard to, And then here's the other piece, that if we would have played in the fall, which NDSU voted to play in the fall, Josh would be gone anyway. That would have been his last year of eligibility in the fall. So all of a sudden, maybe we got a little bit of bonus out of him. I don't know. I mean, he was around to help lead and help develop that room, and I know his relationship with Coach Morgan and Coach Braun is unbelievable. And so, hopefully at some point, Josh will come out and say some things as well.
Step up in your corner room now.
It's those young freshmen are going to need to step up. Courtney Eubanks, Marquise Siegel are 2 guys that need to step up and play really and just play soundly. They don't have to play really well. They just need to play good football. The things that we stress all the time. Again, you go back to the fall. What a benefit of having those 30 practices then. And then you add the practices that we've had this spring, and hopefully those guys can get in there and help us out.
Brought up this morning that if this game were in the fall, it could have been one of the all-time great games as far as talent pool between 2 teams.
You're probably right. You look look at the number of young men that opted out of their fall, out of their football team to enter or transferred as well. And then, our situation as well, you're probably right. I don't know, does it rival the Illinois State national championship game? I don't know if it's that near at that point yet, but there would have been some key names in that football game.
Personally, kind of how bizarre have these last few weeks been for you? Has this been like the weirdest stretch of your coaching career so far?
Well, yeah, I think anyone would answer yes in that case. It's been extremely unique. It's you try to get everyone fired up for a game, and then you don't have one. And at some point, that does take a toll on your football team. Because they start questioning it. Well, will we have a game again? And unfortunately, we've been through it twice now, going back to fall camp, and then what we're going through right now in the spring. So trying just to make sure that we continue to get better. Probably can't get too excited early in the week. We need to be more mentally locked in so we can continue to get good pictures, continue to practice well. UNI is an excellent football team. They still have plenty of talent on their roster, and that's one thing that, going back to my experience, having been a former assistant at UNI, Coach Braun having some experience there, there's never been a lack of talent at UNI. Coach Farley does an outstanding job of recruiting. They're in a great location as far as in the Midwest, easy access to a lot of metropolitan areas, and it's an easy sell, I think, to UNI.
About that experience with you at UNI, is this kind of one that you circle on the calendar personally every year? Does this game mean a little bit more to you each year?
No, they all mean the same. Each week, I can't get into being up and down like that. I think as the head coach, you need to try to be as steady as you can. And this is a big one because it's the only one that we have this week. Our kids understand the tradition that UNI has and how they play. Very physical, line of scrimmage oriented. They got an outstanding defensive line. They jump in and out of 4 down, 3 down. They got kids that can run in the back end. Omar Brown's one of the top corners in the league. A transfer safety that came in who's a very good football player. And then offensively, sounds as if their quarterback will be back this week. I know they had some issues with COVID as well down there. So they're probably as healthy as they're going to be playing the Bison.
You guys, as far as health, I mean, obviously having a 2-week break is not what you were looking for, but it had to have helped some.
It helped in a lot of the kind of the chronic injuries that we might have had, ankles that just weren't getting healthy. It's helped in that regard. Our priority of late's been all the testing. We tested this morning, didn't have any positives, so that is a sign in the right direction. But we'll go back at it on Wednesday morning as well.
Coach, we do have some questions for you online. We'll start with Eric Peterson, please. Eric?
Hey, Coach. Just describe Destin Talbert now stepping into a starting role. He's been in the program for a while. What do you expect from him?
Well, Destin's a very mature individual. Seldom do you see him get too high or too low. I think he's going to take a business approach to it. And I know he's going to be excited to have opportunity to start, but he had a chance in the fall to start as well. So it won't be his first opportunity, but he needs to step up. He's continually shown us more and more things as this spring season's moved on. Made some big plays in previous games, in some critical downs, and especially in nickel. He's gotten a lot of reps when we've subbed in at our nickel position. So excited for him.
I guess you brought up a little earlier. How hard is it to keep that enthusiasm into practice when the last 2 weeks they've prepared and the plug's been pulled on the last 2 games? How hard is it to keep that enthusiasm level through a week of practice with the way it's gone the last couple of weeks?
I think it offers some challenges when there's always a big question mark at the end of the week. That's why I guess I've preferred let's get in and get our work done. We don't need to blow the roof off the dome with excitement and enthusiasm early in the week, and hopefully that can grow and kind of hit its peak when we know the game's going to happen. And that's probably why the South Dakota game we had a great week of practice. Everything was leading up to it. And then Saturday morning, unfortunately, we weren't able to play. And that's a tough one. These guys put a lot of time and effort in each week and in each season to have all of a sudden the game pulled out from under them.
And like you brought up, Northern Iowa's got a strong defense. Is it similar to yours, or do the teams mirror each other's in some ways with the way the defense plays?
I think they probably mirror each other in not necessarily the X's and O's or the schematic part of it, but I do think, I shouldn't say I think, I know both programs stress flying around, gang tackling, pursuit to the football, creating takeaways. That was something, of course, Mark had 10 years ago or however long it was, I was with him. He talked about back then. He continues to talk about now. Being physical at the point of attack, O-line, D-line, tight ends. So there are some similarities. We do it from a different structural situation, but I think some of the characteristics are similar.
Thank you.
Yep.
Your next question is from Dom Izzo.
Matt, with the last 10 days to watch what's happening, were you sitting around thinking, what are we doing with other teams opting out of the spring? Another one Wofford did just a few minutes ago. Just to think, what are we still doing here?
I don't know if I've ever said that. I just wish I had more answers for our players. And, that's the frustrating piece is as the head football coach, generally you're supposed to have the answers. You're supposed to have the plan, if you will. And there isn't necessarily an exact plan to what's going on right now. And I had anticipated Wofford would opt out of the remainder of the season. I had a long conversation with their head football coach yesterday. So it's, you hate to see it. You hate to see FCS football not happen. I have a lot of opinions about kind of what it looks like right now, and it's a tough deal. I hope it doesn't hurt our brand of football moving forward.
Is it hard not to think of that it may hurt things going forward just with how it's being looked at and treated way this spring?
I think so. I think the decision to play in the spring potentially impacted it. And then the number of, you look just last week in the Missouri Valley, there was only 30% in the last 2 weeks, only 30% of the games have gone on. And so, I'm not going to get too in depth with it. It's frustrating. All I can worry about is the Bison right now. And that's what I'm trying to keep my mind on. If you start allowing yourself to think about how it's impacting everything, you can get real negative real quick.
You've had any indication that Northern Iowa will not play, that after their game didn't happen last week, that everything's on course to play as of now?
As of right now, I have not had any interaction or any conversation with Coach Farley or anyone on their staff, minus a couple Happy Easter texts that I might have got from some guys that were on staff when I was there still. But I'm heading into it with the anticipation that we're going to play. I know Coach Farley is a football guy. He wants to see games happen. But it'll be unique. I know both schools are in a unique situation right now.
Thanks, Matt.
Yep.
Your next question is from KJ Pilcher.
Hi, Coach. KJ Pilcher from the Gazette in Cedar Rapids. What do you see what do you expect Cam Miller's role to be going forward? And how has he really capitalized on the opportunities that he's had so far?
Well, I think you're going to continue to see him have his roles in each game. He is mature beyond his years. I know he's only a freshman. The fact that he's been here since June, I think, has paid dividends for him, understanding the offense, understanding the communication piece that's required to be a quarterback at NDSU. So I wouldn't be surprised to see us having plays or packages or series with Cam out there. He does provide some other unique skill sets, some things that maybe we can't do necessarily with Zeb, but he can still sling it. And I think that's probably the piece that we have yet to demonstrate or show the country is how well Cam can perform and how well he can actually throw it. He does a great job in practice. I've seen him go do some stuff against our defense that hard to believe that he's still just a freshman.
You mentioned he got up there early, in June last summer. Is there an area, whether it be physically, mentally, or whatever, that you think he's kind of grown the most in his time since joining the program?
Oh, I would say mentally is probably where he's shown the most leaps and bounds. Just coming in here as a senior in the month of June, he had very little knowledge of what we were doing. As I tell every recruit, the verbiage, the terminology is going to be 100% different. He had to wrap his mind around it. then the speed of the game is going to change. And so he saw it probably worked out to his advantage that we had 30 practices in the fall where he got to learn from Trey, got to kind of operate behind those guys in the wing, see how they went about their daily work, how they went about game planning, how they went about watching film, and what was critical in his preparation. And then now he's seeing the same thing with Zeb, slightly tweaked, because I think each quarterback has their own process to prepare each week. So I think this is good. It's been exciting, and he continues to attack it. He's always up there. I see his vehicle parked outside the dome, probably about as early as anybody's as far as our players go. He's getting into the facility. He's watching film. Coach Hedberg's done an outstanding job of giving him the direction on how to become, what's the process, what have some of the other quarterbacks here done to allow themselves to grow mentally. And, he has done a good job in the weight room, of course, and not to say he hasn't physically developed, but I think the mental piece is just a little bit more, has been exaggerated over the course of the last 6 months.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Are there any other questions here in the room?
How's your staff handling the transfer portal recruiting? I mean, right? I mean, I assume that you have guys assigned to different areas for high school recruiting.
Yep.
There's like 1,900 guys in the transfer portal, and you're going there more often lately. How's that? How do you break that up among your staff? How do you handle looking at guys in the transfer portal?
We haven't really dedicated anyone to just diving into the transfer portal right now. Now it's naive of us, and we've talked about that. For us not to think that it's ever going to affect us, we're going to have to utilize it to help our program. It's not fair to the Bison. It's not fair to our program. Let's use Josh Hayes, for instance. You lose a senior, and then you replace him with a freshman. That doesn't seem like that's an even trade right now. So, we will have to dive into it. But I think what we've utilized is more connections rather than just reaching out there and heading down a rabbit's hole, trying to utilize some connections, some resources that we have out there. And so that way we get an understanding of who we're recruiting. Because it is so critical. Because these guys are going to have to come. When you take a transfer, you're taking them with the intent they're going to play. They're not coming here to sit.
Staying the same or changing? Because, again, you said April 15th is when we're going to find out.
I think we'll find out more at that time. I don't think we've seen anything yet as far as the transfer portal. The NCAA comes out and says there's the one-time transfer. There's 1,900 kids in there right now. I did see a stat the other day that says only about 28% of them find a new home. It's a scary deal. Every sport out there is men's basketball, football are the two high-profile sports that you're seeing it a lot right now. And who knows, on April 15th, depending on what the NCAA says or the Football Oversight Committee recommends, it could ramp up even more.
mentioned Josh's situation. Has that been harder on guys this year that might not have the chance to go home, even if they're closer than, say, Florida? They don't have as many opportunities to get home, visit parents, visit families, all that kind of good stuff.
Well, I think it's been a huge obstacle for us. They did get a little extra time at the holidays, got very little time. Families didn't come to Fargo for games, very limited attendance now in the spring. We've had game canceled, no spring break. It has been extremely, and then we've encouraged them whenever they do have a break and our players trying to abide by what's the safest protocol, we've encouraged them to stay here. Well, there's another opportunity for guys that might have gotten home a little bit here or there. I do think there's some balance in life issues that some of our players are dealing with right now, and we're trying to provide the best support we can.
You to tell them to stay here when you know that's important, especially during the season, to see people you love.
Of course, it is. And so that's probably why I've been such a homebody this in the last year. I haven't gone really anywhere, because if I'm going to ask them to stay here, boy, it would really look bad if the head football coach was out traveling somewhere. And so, my family, we've been, tucked in Fargo here and trying to handle it the best we can. And the other reason why I feel better here is when we do have guys that are in isolation or quarantine, it's always good to be able to make sure we can connect with them, make sure they're getting their meals, make sure that they have everything they need, because again, it goes back to that recruiting process. When I sat across from their parents, I told them that we'd make sure we took care of them while if they're 20 miles or 2,000 miles away from home.